Hello, and welcome to another Community Connections. My name is Jeremy Capone. I'm your Community Connections Program Coordinator, and I'm also the Wellness Chef for the Cancer Rehab and Survivorship Program. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We have a series of amazing guests, all from the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program at the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. And they'll be joining us shortly with a series of different presentations. And then starting at 12 p.m., we're going to jump into the kitchen with one of the registered dietitians from the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program. Today's focus is obviously on head and neck cancer, and some of the team members from this program are going to talk about head and neck cancer and treatment, and some of the side effects that can affect eating and the ways that we can manage some of these side effects. So they're going to be going through some, again, like I said, some presentations, some exercises, some swallowing exercises, and then in the kitchen, we're actually going to be focusing on some of the common side effects like dry mouth and some taste changes as well. So to give you just a little brief description of what to expect in today's presentations, first we are starting off with Dr. Jolie Ringash, who will talk about the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program at the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre and some of what the program has to offer, also some of their amazing events that are coming up, which is exciting. And then Melanie Woodside, who is the clinical nurse specialist of the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program. We'll discuss head and neck cancer treatments and side effects that can affect the way you eat and how to better manage them. And then after that, Michelle Davies, the registered dietitian from the Head and Neck Cancer Program, will talk about how to make food choices to help better manage some of those common taste changes and some of the other side effects as well. And then we'll be joined by Andrea Gomez, the speech language pathologist. Will explain her role as well as discuss how to manage swallowing difficulties and review some great swallowing exercises that you can try at home. Well, and then to wrap things up, Melanie Woodside will be joining us again to share some tips on how to eat out at social gatherings, which can sometimes be challenging to manage. So that is going to be a fantastic presentation as well. Lots of presentations today, lots of amazing info. And like I said, after these presentations, stay tuned. Daniela Fiorini, our registered dietitian at the ELLICSR Kitchen, will be joining me virtually in the kitchen with Michelle Davies from the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program. We have 3 delicious recipes with focus on dry mouth and with focus on bland taste changes and bitter taste changes and how to better manage those. So really exciting event today. So stay tuned. Again, the chat function is open. If you do have any questions throughout, please feel free to type in the chat and we'll have someone from the team answer to the best of our abilities. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel. We have lots of content, lots of recipes, lots of amazing nutrition tips, cooking tips. We have videos from all of our other past education classes with some of our amazing cancer community partners on there. And it also gives you heads up every time we have an upcoming class, an upcoming live stream. So if you haven't already, we'd love for you to subscribe and click the notification bell. That will let you know when there is a class upcoming. Okay, I'm done talking. Without further ado, I'm going to throw it to our first presenter, Dr. Jolie Ringash from the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program at the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today. My name is Jolie Ringash, and I am the co-lead of the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program here at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Today, we are going to be cooking, so please stay tuned for that super fun part of our day. But before we get started, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program in general. This is a program that has been in existence since 2012. It's actually the only one in the world that works in exactly the way it does, and it has been recognized by Accreditation Canada as being quite unique, and we're very proud of that. I co-lead this program with Melanie Woodside, who is our advanced practice clinical nurse specialist, and you'll be hearing from her in just a minute. The head and neck cancer includes diseases basically of the mouth and throat. It does include more advanced skin cancers or melanomas that occur in this area. Also, many patients who have cancers in their mouth, in the swallowing portion of the throat, in the voice box, in the glands that provide saliva, and so on. And this is a group of patients who often have many challenges both during and after their treatment that relate to nutrition and eating. So that's why we really wanted to do a cooking class that addresses some of the ongoing concerns of such patients. But we do hope that all of you watching this can get good nutritional information and other tips and tricks that might help regardless of what type of cancer you or a loved one may have experienced. So let me tell you a little bit about the programs that our group has for patients and family members who are experienced with head and neck cancer. They do include the creation of many educational items, including some of the brochures and videos that you may see when you come to the hospital. Additionally, we have two main classes that we provide for patients. One, which is called Supporting You Through Treatment. This is a class that people typically experience right at the beginning of their treatment or within the first few weeks. At the moment, it is largely delivered by video, but we hope to be delivering all of our classes in person as soon as circumstances allow. Additionally, we have a second class called Getting Back on Track. This consists of 2 sessions, which are designed for patients and family members to experience shortly after completing treatment. And they do focus on issues such as ongoing follow-up, side effects of treatment, managing some of the emotional changes that come, swallowing issues, and of course, eating and nutrition issues similar to this cooking class. There's a third class, which is very specialized for those individuals who may have developed difficulty in opening their mouth wide after treatment. That's a medical term called trismus. And that trismus class involves some very close work with speech-language pathologists to do exercises and help to get the mouth opening as well as possible after treatment. In addition, we have a couple of special events that happen every year. Typically in the month of April, which is Head and Neck Cancer Month, we do have a special head and neck cancer awareness event. And this involves coming together in the last couple of years virtually or before that in person to hear from patients and family members who have experienced head and neck cancer about some of their challenges and successes, and also to hear from members of our interdisciplinary team about some of the types of support that people can get if they are having ongoing challenges after surviving this type of cancer. Another very special event we have happens every fall, and that is our Journey to Conquer Cancer Walk. From the very beginning of our program, we've had a team that participated in this walk, which is called the Head Start team. And that consists of members of our clinical care team, as well as patients and families, all coming together to raise money for the Princess Margaret Foundation, which is then used to support activities of our survivorship program and other activities that would benefit patients and families experiencing head and neck cancer. So we definitely encourage people to sign up and join our team, or if you're not able to come out and walk yourself, you can also make a donation to help with the great work that's being done. We also have a website which has a lot of resources for the survivorship or rehabilitation phase of head and neck cancer, which is at http://hnrehab.ca. And for those who are interested in that website or who would like to sign up to be contacted with some of our activities, we will put a slide in a little bit later showing that so that you can write it down and be able to access that. Now, thank you for listening to me. And with no further ado, I will hand over to my partner in crime, Melanie Woodside. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melanie Woodside, and I am the clinical nurse specialist for the Head and Neck Cancer Program and the co-lead for the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program at Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. I'm going to talk to you about head and neck cancer and some of the treatments and the side effects that go along with the treatment today. So head and neck cancer starts in the tissues of the organs of the head and neck. They include cancers of the mouth, lip, nose, gum, throat, larynx, and the salivary gland. Head and neck cancer treatments can include surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, targeted therapy, immunotherapy, or a combination of treatments. Each treatment plan is individual, and your healthcare team will determine what combination of treatments would work best for you. So now we're going to move on to some of the side effects that these treatments can cause. So first and foremost, and probably one of the most common side effects, is fatigue. So fatigue can also get in the way of eating enough food. It can be described as a feeling of tiredness and weakness and stop you from doing your day-to-day activities. It should start to improve about 2 months after treatment, but that can vary depending on your treatment and just your own individual self. There are things you can do to help reduce your fatigue. So research has shown that exercise can actually be really helpful, which, doesn't really make sense when you're feeling tired, but doing some light exercise like walking for 10 or 15 minutes every day, or slowly starting your pre-treatment exercise routine can be helpful in reducing your fatigue. Also, energy conservation. So, making the most of your time when you are feeling energetic. So, focusing on doing things that are most important to you. Also, having a sleep schedule can be helpful, and letting others do things for you so that you can, use your energy for things that you'd like to do. We'll move on to mouth dryness. Mouth dryness is a very common side effect as well, and it can be quite uncomfortable. So you can take sips of water throughout the day to relieve it. We also recommend oral rinsing, so doing that throughout the day, before meals, after meals, using either flat club soda, salt and water, baking soda and water, or a combination of baking soda, salt, and water, and rinse throughout the day. There are also many products on the market that you can use to help with mouth dryness. The two companies, BioExtra and Oral Science, have lots of products. They have gums and pastilles, mouth rinse, toothpaste, and lozenges that help with a dry mouth. And those are available in all kinds of pharmacies and Amazon as well. You can look up and see what products are available. And these products can help with stimulating your saliva production, or can mimic saliva so that your mouth does feel more comfortable. And they do have xylitol, which is a natural sweetener that doesn't damage your teeth or promote cavities. So it's a good products to try if the rinsing isn't doing enough. So now we'll move on to changes in saliva. So you might find after surgery, or during or after chemotherapy and radiation treatment, the amount of saliva in your mouth might be lessened, or it might be thicker. So again, oral rinsing can help with that, making your saliva thinner. As well, you might find in the morning or maybe in the middle of the night, you wake up and your mouth is quite dry and the saliva is dried in your mouth. So having some rinse at your bedside to be able to rinse out your mouth and work up some of the secretions in your mouth can be helpful. I also recommend trying to use a humidifier at night to help there be more humidity in the air, which might help keep your mouth and your saliva less dry when you're sleeping. Next are taste changes. So we're going to be talking a lot about that today, but I just thought I'd briefly mention about it. So this can also occur as a result of chemotherapy and radiation treatments and can continue after treatment is completed. As you are recovering, you might find the taste of food changes from one day to the next, which can be frustrating when you're trying to plan meals or you think that the effect is finally settling down. Things you can do to manage your taste are continuing to do oral care routines, so brushing your teeth and rinsing. Try sucking on mints that contain xylitol. So there's X-Pure mints, so you can try those and see if that helps. Try cooking to suit your taste and reintroducing spices slowly as you eat more and more. Taste is connected to memory, so saliva and smell. So before you put a bite of food in your mouth, take a moment to remember what it's supposed to taste like, then smell the food and then put it in your mouth and see if that helps. But Michelle, our dietitian, will be talking more about this later on in the show. Changes in appetite. So this can happen as a result of treatment and also as a result of side effects. So being fatigued can affect wanting to eat, for example. Changes in your saliva and your taste can also make you not want to eat. Smells from food might also reduce your appetite. Eating small meals can be helpful. Having meals that are cold and don't smell as much might make it easier to eat as well. So there's a couple of suggestions there. So we'll just move on to continuing the list of side effects. So mouth and tongue sores. So these can develop during and after treatment. These sores can look like a canker or a burn in your mouth and can be really painful. It might cause trouble with chewing, swallowing, talking, and breathing, especially through your mouth. Things should start healing about 2 to 6 weeks after treatment is done, but can continue to feel sensitive after that. There might be areas in your mouth, nose, and throat where you had radiation that will always feel different. You might find your mouth is more sensitive in the morning when you wake up. You might also feel drier if you were breathing through your mouth. Ways to manage include taking pain medication when you need it until the sores heal. You can continue, of course, with good oral hygiene. Good oral care to brush your teeth, rinse your mouth can be really helpful. You can use a gentle toothpaste like a baby toothpaste or Sensodyne or a toothpaste for dry mouth to help with this as well. And of course, rinsing with baking soda or flat club soda or salt and water can also be helpful. Because your mouth can be more sensitive, avoiding carbonated beverages is a good idea as well, because that can be really irritating. All right, now we'll move on to swallowing difficulty. So this can happen after treatment or during treatment and continue after treatment is over. This can be caused by the swelling that develops as a result of the radiation treatments, and also pain in your throat can also make it difficult to swallow. And as a result, you might not eat as much, which can lead to some weight loss, which we don't want. If you are having difficulty swallowing, let your team know and they can refer you to a speech language pathologist. Andrea, our speech language pathologist, will be talking to you later on in the show about swallowing difficulties. So stay tuned. Trismus describes a condition where it's difficult to open your mouth because there's stiffness in your jaw caused by surgery or radiation. If you can't open your mouth, it's more difficult to eat enough food. Andrea, our speech language pathologist, will also talk about this. So now I'm going to pass it over to Michelle, our dietitian.
Hi, I'm Michelle Davies, and I'm a registered dietitian in the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program at Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. Just a little bit about my role is that I see individuals after they've completed treatment for head and neck cancer. And some of the reasons for this are, in general, just having difficulty eating. They may be experiencing unintended weight loss. And this is related to side effects of the treatment, such as difficulties chewing and swallowing, experiencing very dry mouth, as well as experiencing taste changes, which I see is also common. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about how to manage taste changes. So some of the research shows that up to 70% of individuals that are receiving cancer treatment report experiencing taste changes. And this was based on individuals of different cancer types and different cancer treatments they were receiving. Specifically in head and neck cancer, taste changes may last for about 2 to 6 months after the treatment, and some may only get part of the sense of the taste back. However, some studies have shown there can continue to be some improvements about 1 to 2 years after the treatment. Taste changes can affect our appetite, they affect how much someone eats, and also may contribute to malnutrition and weight loss. And so we have important reasons that we have the sense of taste and smell can also be affected by cancer treatments. So our sense of taste and smell basically helps provide us enjoyment so that we're feeling motivated to eat. It helps support us so that we can eat enough nutrition, especially when we're feeling more motivated to eat. It can also help alert us to danger, such as if we're smelling smoke, that can be a sign that there may be fire close by, and also helps prevent us from eating spoiled foods that can make us sick. So if we smell or taste that they're off, we know maybe not to eat those. So a little bit about how taste works. So we have taste buds that are located throughout on our tongue, which most people know, but it's actually also located throughout our entire oral cavity. And so I just have some slides here that I'm going to share. So taste is basically sensed by the taste bud receptors when they come into contact with flavor compounds in the food. And our taste receptors are renewed every 10 days, which is part of the reason that cancer treatments can have effect on the taste buds and the receptors. And flavor perception is a result of both the combination of taste and smell. So what we used to think back in the day was that our tongue had specific areas that we could only taste kind of one of the flavors. This actually isn't true, and that we can taste all of these flavors on different areas of our tongue. The 5 main senses of taste that we have, or flavors we taste, are bitter, sour, sweet, salty, and umami. Umami basically is like a savory taste. You can think of the taste you get in a meat or soy sauce, for example. So this is a diagram of what actually happens with our taste buds. And so it's just showing that basically we have them throughout, but it's mostly concentrated on the tongue. Now, when it comes to experiencing taste, dry mouth can affect that, and I'm going to explain why. So many individuals experience dry mouth after radiation therapy for head and neck cancer. This impacts chewing, swallowing, and, as I mentioned, taste. And this is because our saliva plays a key role in taste perception, as it helps bring flavor compounds from food in contact with the taste receptors in our tongue and mouth. So when we are making less saliva, this makes it difficult to get those flavor compounds there. So a couple of ways that we can try and increase how much saliva we make. So on average, a person makes about 1 liter of saliva per day, and you can triple the amount of saliva you produce in a few ways. So one of these ways is thinking about foods. So for example, you could try to maybe think about what a food used to taste like for you, or a food that you think was pleasant or you enjoyed. You can kind of think about what that taste was before you eat it. This may help with a bit of saliva production. Also, smelling foods helps. So if you're someone that is enjoying the smell of foods and you still have some of your sense of smell, this would be a great way to kind of smell the foods before you eat them, or as you're eating them, take a little smell of the food before you start chewing it. And this may help both with saliva production and some greater sense of taste. However, some people may experience that their sense of smell is affected during the treatment, and they may kind of feel like they get bad smells or they're nauseous. In this case, you'll want to avoid smelling foods, which means basically likely choosing more cold or room temperature foods that don't give off as much smell. And also choosing foods that are more bland may be better for you if you're experiencing bad smell. Another way is with chewing foods. So if you're still doing well with chewing and swallowing foods, you can choose foods that you find take a little bit more time to chew. And this may also help produce some saliva. However, if you're experiencing difficulty chewing and swallowing, then you should let your doctor or your healthcare team know so that they can do further assessment to make sure you're safe with your chewing and swallowing. So there's some things that we can do before the meal to help with the dry mouth. One of the things I often recommend is making sure that you're using baking soda and mouthwater rinse before the meal. The reason we use baking soda rinse is more to also help with the taste changes. So for the recipe, you can dissolve 1 teaspoon of baking soda in 2 cups of warm water. You can use this throughout the day. Just make sure you discard at the end of the day and make a new batch the next day. This can help with kind of neutralizing the taste that's in the mouth, either from dry saliva that's stuck to the tongue, or from perhaps some of the leftover flavors from the previous food that you ate. So it's just going to help enhance how you taste the food, but also help with the dry mouth. Then after you're done this, you want to add more moisture to the mouth, either by using the dry mouth products that Melanie had mentioned earlier, such as BioExtra, Biotin gel and sprays, or you can use 1 teaspoon of plant-based cooking oil to swish around in your mouth. You could also spit it out or swallow it, depending on your preference. And this includes olive oil, coconut oil, and sunflower oil, or basically just any oil that you find tastes good and that would be okay to cook with or use in our food. So at the mealtime, we want you to choose more moist foods like stews, casseroles, canned fruits, for example. It's also important to add additional sauces and gravies to foods for extra moisture. So for example, you could try packaged gravies, or they even have like a packaged lemon dill cream sauce that you might enjoy. And also trying to dunk dry foods and liquids like teas or soups. So for example, if you're having like muffins or bread, you're going to want to really soak those into some type of liquid so that you're able to eat it. Make sure you're drinking enough fluids in the day. On average, we need about 8 cups of fluids a day. And so making sure you're hydrated will also help prevent dry mouth from getting worse. Try and also choose fluids that provide you with nutrition and energy, especially if you're having trouble eating and you notice you're losing weight. So things like, for example, milk and smoothies and juice if you can tolerate it. Also take sips of fluids with each mouthful. Typically, our saliva helps to coat the food in our mouth so that it's easier to chew and swallow, and again, so we can taste it. So taking a sip of fluid with each mouthful will also help. So a few general things that you can try to do with managing taste changes: try different foods and flavors of beverages. You may have to experiment a bit more just to find what works for you or you can at least tolerate. And I always recommend keeping a list of the foods that taste good or work for you, and keep it somewhere close by, such as on the fridge, for example. Oftentimes when people are experiencing taste changes, appetite is low, and it can be hard sometimes in the moment to think of what you would want to eat. So having this list can be really helpful to go back to. You can try alternating bites of different tasting foods at a meal to get variety. If you're experiencing bland taste, for example, you can also have different types of sauces or dips on the plate to alternate the dips that you have your food in as well, and that can add variety. Try to focus on foods that taste good, even if that means that you're eating kind of the same foods every day for a while. Especially if you're going through the treatment, we just need to make sure you're getting enough energy and nutrition. So just choosing what's good, tastes good to you can be a strategy you can use. For someone who experiences much long-term taste changes, this may not apply to them because we'd still want them to get some variety to make sure they're getting enough nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So if that's the case and you're having trouble getting variety, you should ask your team to refer you to a registered dietitian so they can further help you with this. You can also try sugarless candies, mints, or chewing on sugarless gum, especially in between meals if you're experiencing bad taste. This can help. So I'm just going to go through the different types of taste changes and some recommendations and examples. So for someone who's experiencing bland or no taste, we would want you to choose and flavor foods that are really strong in flavor, or adding extra condiments that are strong in flavor, such as like barbecue sauce, ketchup, soy sauce, and mild chutneys. You can also try some sour or tart foods to help stimulate the taste buds. So for example, a little lemon in the tea. You could try, for example, like mandarin oranges or a flavored sorbet. Just caution that in head and neck cancer, those who have mouth sores or sore mouth, they may want to avoid sour or tart foods if it's irritating their mouth. Also try using more herbs and seasonings like basil, garlic, ginger, cumin, oregano, thyme, and nutmeg. I have heard a lot of people say that they can taste some garlic, and so if you want to try this, this may work for you. So choosing more flavorful foods such as aged cheese, pickles, olives, mild curries, just things you think are really strong in flavor. And also cooking them with added fats and sauces can also help. And as I mentioned, alternating those bites of foods. So to help manage any bitter taste, try to sprinkle a little bit of sweetener on foods or liquids such as soups and teas. You can try using sugar, honey, maple, or jam. For individuals that are receiving cancer treatment or have a low immunity, ask your healthcare team if you're okay to have pasteurized honey, but you may want to avoid it if you're experiencing low immunity. Try using sweet condiments and sauces such as plum sauce, mint jelly, applesauce, ketchup, or barbecue sauce. And you can also try having sweet fruits that are kind of cooked or baked with meals. A lot of times you may experience with some vegetables, they may just taste too bitter to you. So using fruits instead can help you to still get fiber in your diet. And they can also help with making sure you're getting some vitamins and minerals as well if you're not tolerating those vegetables. And they're also going to add some sweetness to the meal, which is going to be helpful with that bitter taste. Try marinating meats, chicken, and fish, such as by using orange juice, barbecue sauce, sweet and sour sauce as a marinade. And if those foods don't work for you, you can try different protein-rich foods so that you're getting enough protein. So including things like lentils, baked beans, eggs, cheese, hummus, yogurt, milk, and soy milk. So to help manage metallic taste, you can use a lot of the tips that I mentioned with the bitter taste. But on top of that, you're also going to want to probably try and eat foods at a little more cold or room temperature. This may help when you're experiencing this metallic taste. So things like puddings, pasta salads, quiche, cheese, smoothies, and sometimes people can tolerate the frozen fruit, such as grapes or melons. Try to avoid metallic or bitter tasting foods. So things like red meat, coffee, or chocolate. And you can try also using more plastic utensils or chopsticks, basically avoiding metal utensils for eating. This will help reduce that metal flavor. And try and use glass cookware instead of metal pots and pans for cooking and storing food. However, if you are using like a metal pan in the oven, you can try and just cover it with some parchment paper first, and this will help reduce that metallic taste. So if you're somebody that's experiencing foods or just tasting too sweet, try and choose more savory, salty, or bland flavored foods. So for example, salty foods can be like pasta dishes, soups, stews. or choosing more bland flavored foods such as maybe cornflakes, like a cereal that's not very sweet, like cornflakes with milk. You could try pancakes, for example, without syrup, and instead using using more butter, for example. Try to dilute drinks with water, milk, tonic water, or ice. For example, if you're relying on some nutrition drinks that are sweet, you can try diluting them and adding a pinch of salt to decrease the sweetness. And in general, in your foods, you can try and add a little pinch of salt to help decrease that sweetness you're experiencing. So if you're experiencing foods that taste too salty, try a variety of low salt or sodium reduced products. So for example, if you're making soups or stews, you're going to want to try and start using that no salt added broths to make that. And you can also try, for example, instead of regular tomato sauce for pasta, you could try buying passata, which is basically strained tomatoes, and it's lower in salt compared to regular tomato-based pasta sauces. Try to choose more sweet or bland foods such as pancakes, oatmeal, French toast, and add a pinch of sugar to help mask salty flavors in foods. Try using herbs, seasonings in place of salts, so such as thyme, parsley, basil, garlic, ginger, cinnamon, and lemon pepper. Now, a lot of times you may have tried all these tips that I gave you, but taste changes may just kind of cause people to not want to eat. Just keep in mind that malnutrition and losing weight can have negative side effects, especially when someone is going through cancer treatment, such as low energy, fatigue. It may make it difficult to tolerate some of the cancer treatments, and it may cause disrupted schedules in treatments. So it's important that we try and make nutrition a priority and get as much as we possibly can. So try to think of food as your medicine in order to help your body feel as well as possible. So for example, if the doctor prescribes a medication, we say, okay, I want to take it. I'm going to try and get better by taking this medicine. So you can kind of try and think of your food like that, especially at a time you're having this really low appetite, that really you're just using this nourishment as a way to help your body work better and feel better. I like to call this mechanically eating. So eating for the purpose of getting nutrition. You can try and use self-talk phrases to remind yourself why it is important to eat. So for example, I'm really not feeling like eating right now. This doesn't taste good, but I'm going to try and get through this meal as best as I can because I know it's going to provide me energy and I don't want to be fatigued all day. I want to be able to get through the day with some energy. Try choosing foods that you know you can at least tolerate. So soft or liquid foods that don't require much chewing may be better tolerated when you're experiencing bad taste. And also choosing more bland foods may help. Try to set a regular schedule of when you will eat and stick to it. When you're experiencing taste changes and low appetite, you're just not going to have the same hunger cues that you used to. And so you could set phone alarms as reminders, especially if you notice you're kind of forgetting to eat or delaying eating for a long time. Try and have small, frequent meals and snacks to help you get enough nutrition, especially if you notice you can't eat a lot of food at one time as compared to what you used to. And also ask others for support and encouragement. So you can ask them to help you make meals, especially for those that are experiencing those smell changes and bad smells. It might be helpful to have others prepare meals for you and ask them to eat with you if you can. It can be helpful to eat with others to kind of get more social interaction and may distract us from the poor taste that we're having with the food. So when you don't feel like eating or don't enjoy it, you may want to drink nutrition supplements in order to meet your energy and protein needs. So things like Ensure Boost, there's generic brands as well, and Carnation Breakfast, especially if you're noticing that you are not eating as much as you used to, and if you're experiencing that you're losing weight. So also talk to a registered dietitian or your doctor for individualized recommendations around these, especially if you're noticing weight loss. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm going to pass it over to Andrea now, who's our speech language pathologist. and she's going to talk to you about some chewing and swallowing issues.
Thanks, Michelle. My name is Andrea Gomez, and I'm a speech-language pathologist and a team member of the Head and Neck Cancer Program at Princess Margaret. For those of you who may not be aware, a speech-language pathologist is a regulated healthcare professional who has specialized training in the assessment and treatment of swallowing and communication difficulties. Today, I will be discussing swallowing and swallowing-related changes and challenges that someone with head and neck cancer may experience during and after their cancer treatment. I will also be sharing with you some practical swallowing tips that I hope you find helpful as you navigate some swallowing-related mealtime challenges. Let's start with some fun swallowing facts. Did you know we use 30 muscles and 6 nerves to swallow? Humans swallow anywhere between 500 and 700 times a day. We swallow about once every minute when awake, 3 times an hour when asleep, and much, much more when swallowing and eating. Swallowing is a highly complex, very coordinated, and carefully timed sequence of events made up of 4 stages. 3 stages take place in the mouth and throat, and the 4th stage is the passage of food through the food pipe on its way down to the stomach. You may experience difficulties swallowing at different times in your cancer journey. For example, before treatment, swallowing problems may be related to the size and location of the tumor. During treatment, swallowing problems are typically related to the many side effects affecting eating and drinking, such as changes in saliva, taste changes, mouth and throat sensitivity, pain, and swelling in the muscles for swallowing. After treatment, swallowing difficulties are related to ongoing dry mouth, tissue sensitivities, taste challenges and changes, muscle swelling, and dysfunction. A small number of patients may develop new swallowing difficulties many months or years after treatment. This is called late side effects and is often related to radiation fibrosis or stiffening of the muscles and can also cause nerve damage and muscle weakness. Being aware of the signs of a swallowing problem can help you prevent medical complications and improve your mealtime experience and quality of life. Some signs of a swallowing problem include the following. Some are very obvious, like coughing or clearing your throat a lot at mealtime or after meals. Some other subtle signs include a really wet or gurgly sounding voice after drinking liquids, for example, difficulty chewing or moving food around in your mouth, trouble moving food from the front to the back of the mouth, food sticking in your mouth or throat, food coming back up your nose, or also aspiration, which means food or liquid going down the wrong way into the lungs, which can sometimes be detected on a chest x-ray. Swallowing problems, if left untreated, can result in weight loss, malnutrition, and dehydration. Can also cause a lung infection called an aspiration pneumonia and result in poor quality of life. If you notice these signs or symptoms, please inform a member of your healthcare team, and a referral to a speech pathologist for a swallowing assessment can be made. As mentioned, an SLP can help you manage your swallowing problem. We can conduct a special swallowing x-ray test to assess the nature of the swallowing impairment, recommend strategies, techniques, food texture modifications to help you improve your swallowing safety and efficiency. We help you understand and manage your swallowing function through education and counseling. We help you make informed decisions regarding your choices to help you balance safety and quality of life. As I mentioned earlier, one recommendation you may receive from a speech pathologist is to modify the consistency or texture of your foods and drink. For patients on treatment, as the weeks of treatment progress, it is recommended that patients make gradual changes to the textures of food to help compensate for the side effects from treatment. As shown on the diet staircase to the left, patients often move from regular solids to soft, moist foods in their second week of treatment. Later on in treatment, it may be needed to move down to minced, moist foods and purees. and sometimes liquids only towards the end of treatment when swallowing gets more challenging. Post-treatment, the new normal for most patients is to gradually return to soft, moist foods, or ITSE level 6, as shown in the diagram to the right of the screen. For some patients post-treatment who may still be experiencing symptoms of swallowing problems, even months post-treatment, further assessment by a speech pathologist may be needed to help determine food texture choices and strategies that might make swallowing safer and easier. For patients on modified diet textures, they often require additional nutritional supports, and a referral to a dietitian is quite important. Creating and following a routine at mealtime can help set yourself up for swallowing success. Follow these steps before meals. If it hurts when you swallow, it is important to take your pain medication about 30 to 40 minutes before mealtime. Good mouth care is essential. Clean all surfaces of your mouth well. Brush your teeth, clean your tongue gently from the back to the front. Use an oral rinse solution to gently rinse, gargle, and expectorate or hork out any phlegm or mucus buildup at the back of your throat before meals. At mealtime, it's really important to remember to follow these important tips. It's important to sit upright in a chair when eating and drinking. Limit any distractions and talking at mealtime, as this can cause food and drink to go down the wrong way if we try to talk and eat at the same time. Take single small sips of liquid and bites of food. Eat slowly. Pausing between mouthfuls is important. Try not to rush. Swallow hard with effort. Pretend like you have a big grape at the back of your throat and you need to swallow it hard. Nice strong swallows. Swallow 2 times with each mouthful. Take a sip of liquid to help clear any food sticking in your throat. After meals, remember to always clean your mouth well. Sit upright for about 30 minutes after mealtime. If able, move around for about 10 to 15 minutes after meals to help clear your lungs of anything that went down the wrong way. It's what we call pulmonary toileting. It's also very important not to lay down flat on your back after mealtime for at least 30 minutes. This will prevent any reflux and food and liquid coming back up. Now let's warm up our swallowing muscles by doing some stretches. Did you know that the tongue is the most important structure in your mouth for swallowing? Keeping the tongue working well helps you control, move, and transport food from the front to the back of the throat.
Tongue range of motion. To begin, sit comfortably with your mouth relaxed. Stick your tongue out as far as it can go. Do not hold your tongue between your teeth. This will make sure you give your tongue a good stretch. If you had surgery to your tongue, it will be hard to move your tongue out. Stick your tongue out as far as you can. Once you are in the position, hold it for 5 seconds. Relax your tongue for a few seconds to give your mouth a break. Now, move your tongue up towards your nose. Once you are in this position, hold it for 5 seconds. Relax your tongue for a few seconds to give your mouth a break. Now, move your tongue down towards your chin. Once you are in this position, hold it for 5 seconds. Relax your tongue for a few seconds to give your mouth a break. Now, move your tongue to the left side of your mouth. Once you are in this position, hold it for 5 seconds. Finally, move your tongue to your right and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your tongue for a few seconds to give your mouth a break.
Did you know that the human jaw is capable of exerting a pressure of up to 125 kgs on a single bite? Okay, so after treatment for head and neck cancer, some people can develop stiffness in the jaw muscles. This condition is called trismus and can make biting into foods, eating and chewing difficult. To help prevent trismus and to keep those jaw muscles working well, you can do these simple jaw stretches before meals. as shown on the video here.
To begin this exercise, sit comfortably with your mouth relaxed. Open your mouth as wide as you can. You should feel a good stretch but not any pain. Once you are in the position, hold it for 5 seconds. Relax your jaw for a few seconds to give your mouth a break. Now move your jaw to the left. Once you are in the position, hold it for 5 seconds. Relax your jaw for a few seconds to give your mouth a break. Now, move your jaw to the right. Once you are in the position, hold it for 5 seconds. Relax your jaw for a few seconds to give your mouth a break.
Now that we have warmed up your swallowing muscles, I think it's time to pass it over to Melanie, who will share some tips on social eating.
Thanks, Andrea. Hey, it's Melanie again, the clinical nurse specialist for the Head and Neck Cancer Program and the co-lead for the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship Program at Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. So now I'm going to talk to you about challenges you may be experiencing at mealtime and social gatherings and some ideas on how to manage them. Because eating a meal is more than meeting a physical need of nutrition. It can be a social time, a time for gathering with friends and family after a busy day, to celebrate holidays or birthdays. It can also provide an opportunity to be with friends, go out to a restaurant or a party like a wedding. Sharing a meal can give you the opportunity to connect, have conversations, and share experiences. Eating with others creates and maintains relationships, makes you feel better about yourself, and you can meet new people and get emotional support. It may have been a while since you've seen family and friends because of the COVID pandemic, and you might be uneasy about it because you feel or look different since the last time you saw them. You may also worry about whether you're strong enough to go to a gathering and participate in family traditions. Research shows that most patients with head and neck cancer have eating and drinking difficulties after treatment. Reasons for this are the side effects like mouth sores, dry mouth, sore throat, nausea, decreased appetite, difficulty swallowing, and taste changes. Side effects from treatment can improve over time, but it can take a while, and you may not get back to the way you were before your diagnosis and your treatment. These challenges can continue beyond a year after treatment. It can be frustrating and make you feel anxious at the thought of gathering with people or eating with others. When you do have difficulty eating and drinking, it can make you feel less confident about eating among other people. You might find yourself staying home more, feeling more isolated, and then losing touch with friends and family. So you can see here on this slide are some ways to help you cope with these changes and make you feel better about eating with people or attending social events. So the first one is to take control of the eating situation. So making a plan before you go to the gathering about what might be concerning you. So for example, if you're worried that you're not going to have the energy to spend the whole evening, say at a gathering, maybe just set a time for when you're going to leave. Maybe you'll leave after an hour. And then if you find that maybe you're, feeling pretty good after an hour and you want to stay longer, be flexible and stay longer if you like. You could also call your host ahead of time just to talk about what food will be there and whether you should bring your own food so that you'll be comfortable and have something to eat at the party. You can also be open about your cancer and about how it's affected your eating and drinking, so that people will understand what you're going through. Or if you don't want to be open, you should probably prepare for people to ask you questions. So it might be helpful to have an answer prepared, like, thank you for asking. Maybe we can talk about it another time. When going to a restaurant, you can ask for a more private table out of the way, so when you're eating, you feel less exposed. Before going to the restaurant, you can go online to the website or call the restaurant to see what things that you'll be able to eat that are on the menu. Another idea is to order from the children's menu, as the portions are smaller and the food often tastes plainer. You can also ask about the menus when you're planning a vacation, for example. Make sure you think about that if you're going on vacation, to make sure that there is food that you can eat. For example, a cruise will always have a large variety of food to eat. Food modification. That can be really helpful in being able to eat and drink with others. You can have smaller, more comfortable to eat foods. Also eating foods that are less spicy or dry or acidic. So you can bring things like sauces or gravies to add to the food to make it more manageable to eat. And depending on your comfort level and your ability, you may want or need to eat alone or eat after everyone else eats. You could also eat at home before going to an event. You might prefer to have people come over to your place instead, so you can control what food is available to you. It can also be helpful to lean on your friends and family to help it make it easier to eat and to eat with others. They can help with adapting meals or prepare a different meal so that you can eat more easily. Your spouse or caregiver can also eat with you so you don't feel so isolated. Eating with family and friends can provide a sense of security and make you feel less stressed about mealtime and give you more confidence with eating and participating in mealtime. Participating in cooking a meal for others can also be a positive experience and provide a sense of purpose and meaning, and can be a social occasion as well. And there may be situations like a business function where there might not be any food that you can eat. In these situations, you can try and focus on the social aspect of the gathering and then eat afterwards. Or you can always plan ahead if you're not sure there will be food for you to eat and have something beforehand. I hope some of these tips have been helpful as you're starting to think about going out and meeting with people and socializing. Take care.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't realize it was on. I am back. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much to the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship program and everyone that joined us today, to Dr. Jolie Ringash, to Melanie Woodside, Michelle Davies, and Andrea Gomez. Really, really appreciate your time and those wonderful presentations. If just again, for a reminder, if you joined in late or you would like to get some more information from the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship program, the website is hncrehab.ca. So that's hncrehab.ca. I did include the websites in the chat, so you can check that out. Also, all of these videos and all the presentations from today's session will be published and posted on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So you can rewatch them if there was some information that you did want to catch up on. So again, thank you to everyone who joined us today. We are about to jump into the kitchen for our cooking and nutrition demo. We have 3 amazing recipes to go along with today's theme, and we are going to be joined by Michelle Davies, the registered dietitian from the Head and Neck Cancer Survivorship program, to focus on taste changes and dry mouth, as well as our incredible dietitian Daniela Fiorini. So stick around. We will be on in about 5 minutes. Also, just a quick reminder, next month we will be back. Just checking the calendar on the 17th. So November 17th is our next class. We have another amazing guest joining us. So mark it in your calendar, or if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the notification bell. It will let you know when we have another upcoming live stream class. So until then, stick around. We will be jumping into the kitchen shortly.